Let's make it shake, 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 yeah, shake.
Police say a 61-year-old woman is dead after a deadly shooting that started with a disagreement over an eviction. Investigators say an altercation started at the property manager's office here on Shaker Boulevard over the 66-year-old suspect's possible eviction. The victim tried to intervene along with another man, but police say the suspect's granddaughter responded by punching the victim, who then pulled a knife. That's when the granddaughter started shooting toward the victims, striking the victim in the chest. The case is under investigation this afternoon.
We got a sad situation we got to talk about, family. A citizen lost her life, and all because a dispute with the eviction notice. And I got to be real, family. When we do stuff like this is why people have stereotypes for people that look just like us. In today's video, we're going to stop past Cleveland, Ohio. We got to talk about 3 generations of women who unfortunately made it through their life away allegedly at the same time for a murder. And you know the crazy part is, the oldest generation, the grandmother, the great-grandmother in this case, because the youngest daughter have a daughter. Family, she initiated this whole ordeal by calling her 2 daughters up. Meet Sabria Hendon. She was the youngest of the 3 who was locked up. That was her grandmother involved and her mom. She's a mother of 1 herself. She worked for a local school bus company alongside her mom. According to LinkedIn, Sabria works for Bedford City School in Bedford Heights, Ohio. Now, Sabria also have a clothing line with her mom, Hustle and Hills. Here above is a picture of the 2, Lamika Hendon, who was also arrested with her mom and her daughter. And last but not least, Diana Hendon, the lady in the middle, who was also arrested for murder alongside her daughter and her granddaughter. Now, in order for us to break down how they was recently identified and arrested, we got to take it back to April 12, 2023 at around 4:30 p.m. Now, local news reported in Cleveland that a tenant daughter shoots and kills an uninvolved woman during a fight in Cleveland apartment office, according to a witness. Now, at this time and for some days to come, nobody was identified, but this is what the report did say. Now, before we disclose the details, let's take a look at the location. Shaker Hall, 12700 Shaker Boulevard, Cleveland, Ohio. It's an apartment unit. It kind of looked like the one off Martin Lawrence. Now, the initial police report has stated that the fight between a tenant and a property manager at an apartment building in Cleveland ended up with one tenant's daughter shooting another female, and a tenant who was not involved but happened to be in the office, according to a maintenance worker who witnessed the shooting, had unfortunately lost her life. Tyrone Walker is a maintenance worker. He said he witnessed the entire incident. He said the tenant walked into the property manager's office and began to fight.
Of a Cleveland apartment complex is now a crime scene.
Police say a woman was shot earlier this afternoon at Shaker Hall Apartments on the city's east side. We have just learned that woman has died. News 5's Jesse Schultz spoke with witnesses on the scene. Jesse, what did those witnesses tell you?
Yeah, they tell me an argument between a tenant and the property manager led to the death of another woman who lived at the apartment, who was really just trying to break up the fight.
It just makes me sad. I mean, because all this gun shooting and stuff, it's just sad.
But Tyrone Walker tells me even hours after the shooting, he is still anxious. Walker just started his job as a maintenance tech at the complex and says it was just like any other workday.
We have a problem with a tenant in the building.
He says that tenant walked into the property manager's office and began fighting with the manager, adding the tenant then called in her 2 grown daughters to back her up.
There was a big commotion and arguing, and so I went in the office with 2 contractors and we just standing between them. So we're trying to get the young ladies out the office door. Next thing I know, one of the contractors said she got a gun. And then it's when I heard the first shot pop.
He says the daughters just started shooting, and the woman who was shot was just a bystander who was also in the office at the time of the fight. And while others tended to her, Walker says he ran out the door to find where the shooters went, but they shot at him too.
I didn't know really what was happening until I heard the pop. She was just shooting. I'm like, man, I didn't even do nothing to her.
He says the shooters had no regard for human life, ending a life over something so trivial.
Just words, just an argument, that's all.
Police tell us they have one of the suspects in custody, but we are still working to learn the identity of all involved. We will, of course, continue to follow this.
Exactly a week later, April 18, 2023, the grandmother, mom, and granddaughter had pled not guilty in the shooting death of a woman in Cleveland's east side. And we also got their identity, as we mentioned before. Not to mention, we had the preliminary hearing, so what authorities think caused this whole ordeal. The name of the victim was also disclosed as well. Cleveland police has said Lamika Hendon, 47, her 66-year-old mom, Diana Hendon, and her 24-year-old daughter, Zabria Hendon, killed Zamita Cooper. May she rest in peace, and love condolences to her family. They say that it happened April 12th at an apartment building that we briefly discussed on the 12700 block of Shaker Boulevard. Police said the women were arguing about Diana Hendon being evicted. Lamika Hendon is charged with aggravated murder and is being held on a $75,000 bond. Now, the grandmother lived there. Diana, she was the oldest. She was charged with murder and being held on a $20,000 bond. Now, as for the youngest, Zabria Hendon, she was charged with aggravated murder and is being held on a $1 million bond. Lamika Hendon is the bus driver for Belfast City Schools, and her daughter worked there as well, as we mentioned before.
19 News is everywhere at 5 with a family sitting in jail right now. A grandmother, a mother, a granddaughter, they're all charged with murder. Winnie Dortch with the new information she uncovered in this case that has torn apart two families.
This is Lamika Hendon. She used to be a Bedford school bus driver, someone in charge of getting kids to and from school safely, now in jail, charged with murder, and her mother and daughter also accused of being involved. 61-year-old Jametta Cooper was shot in the chest.
I got a cold one on Shaker Boulevard, female possibly shot.
It was April 12th. A fight turns deadly inside Shaker Hall Apartments. 66-year-old Diane Hendon was upset about being evicted. Cooper and the maintenance man got involved. Police say the granddaughter, Zabria Hendon, punched the 61-year-old, so Cooper, trying to defend herself, pulled out a knife, cutting two of the attackers.
There's one got a stab wound to a hand and one to the to the face.
That's when police say the youngest Hendon, Zabria, shoots at Cooper and the maintenance man.
We got a resident daughter that shot a female. We're getting multiple calls.
Now, 3 generations locked up, all pleading not guilty to murder. The Bedford City School District sending out a statement regarding Lamika's status. It reads in part, "We cannot comment on an ongoing criminal matter, but the district is taking all the appropriate measures, including placing the individual on leave consistent with ODE and board policies. The individual will not be allowed on school property during the pendency of the criminal matter, and the district is weighing all options at this time."
There you have it, fam. 3 generations probably threw their whole life away, all because of this dispute of you not paying your rent on time, allegedly.